Welcome into the End of Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com. I'm Tom Leach, along with Keeneland's Director of Simulcasting, Jim Goodman. Big weekend at Saratoga with a couple of Grade 1s, and that's where we will start. The 8th race is the Grade 1 test, and this race always draws a big field and really competitive race, going 7 furlongs. You got some horses sometimes cutting back, some stretching out. 3-year-olds going 7 furlongs. Who'd you like?
Well, I'd like to take Charge Brandy if she had a race, but she's coming off like a 7-month layoff. She ran at Oaklawn in January, and this is her return race. And D. Wayne is not famed for getting them ready off a layoff. He's famed for working them and running them quite often. And I don't think Take Charge Brandy is going to be ready for this, if you forgive the pun, the test. So I think, you know, she's a bad bargain here. I can't imagine she'll be ready. So I'm going to take a stand against her, and I'm going to take a horse that might be a little bit of a price. By the Moon, the 3 horse, Michelle Nevin, not a big name trainer, but she does have some success at Saratoga. She's been cold so far, but By the Moon ran really well in the Acorn, just barely got beat by Carolina, who came back and won again, and I thought that was an extremely impressive race. And it sets her up well for this. That was a couple months ago, and she's run well off a short layoff before, from the Forward Gal to the race at Laurel, and I think she's just getting better at the right time, and I think she'll be a little bit of a price. Take Charge Brandy is going to take a lot of money. So You Say the 7 was also impressive last time out, and she may be the controlling speed here. Johnny Velasquez takes her back. She won at Belmont for fun and ran her 109 and 3 and won by 9 1/4. So anytime you have a filly that wins that easily, and a 98 buyer figure for a 3-year-old filly is extremely strong this time of year. So You Say is my choice to run second to By the Moon. I'm going to exact a box those 2, 3, and 7, and maybe take Charge Brandy underneath and right back there.
I could go a lot of different ways in here. I ended up going to Angela Renee for Pletcher. Grade 1 winner, working great, and I like the turn back to 7 furlongs. I'm not sure that this might not be her 7 furlongs to a mile, maybe a mile and 16th might end up being her best distance. And for as hot as Pletcher is, you may get a little bit of a price in here. I look for Cavorting to be the favorite and took a long look at her. So I'm going to take Angela Renee, maybe a little bit of value, and then I'm going to use her with Cavorting, with Take Charge Brandy. I certainly could use By the Moon and Wonder Gal. I had those written down, but I'm going to scratch those out, take Cavorting, Take Charge Brandy, and a horse named Bar of Gold that I picked before once or twice, and they keep putting this horse in spots that suggest they think she's got a bunch of ability. So I'm going to take one more shot and just throw her in there as well. So I'm going to take 8 with the 2, 4, 9, and then flip them the other way. 9th race, the Grade 1 Whitney. I think there's 7 Grade 1 winners in this race, a mile and an 1/8 for 3-year-olds and up, and just a tremendous, tremendous field. I ended up settling on Lee. I think this is maybe his best distance. Like the running style to maybe sit off what I think there's a decent amount of speed in here, so I like the chance of him just sitting off that speed a little bit, but not too far back. And I also look at the fact that Mott sent him up after the Churchill race to Saratoga, and he's had 6 workouts, either on the training track or the main track at Saratoga, pointing to this spot. And Bill Mott's really good at pointing to a spot. So I'm going to take Lee and use him with Honor Code, Tonalist, and Wicked Strong, the 3 4-year-olds. How about you?
I'm right with you on Lee. I think he returned in the Stephen Foster, and you worry about horses returning from Dubai. He ran pretty well in Dubai, actually, and he came back and was edged by Noble Bird, but for a first time back after that long trip, it was great. I think he's set up very well for this race, but I can make a case for at least the 7 Grade 1 winners. Coach Inge intrigues me a little bit too. He'll try to take him all the way. He's 1-for-1 distance. I don't think he can. There is a decent amount of speed in here, so I don't think he's going to get an easy lead like he did last time out. Honor Code destroyed a good field in the Met Mile, but I'm afraid that a mile and 8 might be a stretch for him. He won the mile and 8 last year, but he hadn't gone that far this year yet. Tonalist, right behind Honor Code. He disappointed 2 to 5 in the Suburban coming back though, so I'm not sure Tonalist is back to where he was earlier. V.E. Day is 2 for 2 at Saratoga and exits to Brooklyn, won by Coach Inge. So I think V.E. Day moves up at Saratoga anytime the horse is won there. But Lee is my choice, and I think he goes to the top of the older male division. And looks toward maybe a matchup with American Pharoah and Breeders' Cup Classic a little later on this year.
One of the graded stake on Saturday at Saratoga we want to take a look at. It's the 10th race, the Weah, mile and a half on the turf for fillies and mares 3 and up. Nice full field in here. Who'd you go with?
This was a good end to the day. I mean, Goldie Esponi was probably my choice, simply because she's flattered by McGranny's Kitten winning on Monday, and she's getting it better to right time. I think that the last race was extremely impressive, and if I can get my computer to comply with me so I can get that race so I can remember it. Eastern Bell was second to Waltzing Matilda in the Great Two New York. Should love a mile and a half. And nice number, the 6. Brad Cox always slips in a few at Saratoga. He won the other day on 14-1 shot, knocked me out of a pick 4, and I just sat there and kicked myself because he takes some decent horses to Saratoga. He seems to point toward it. He's more of a Churchill trainer, but he's already won a couple, so don't underestimate nice number. White Rose, the 8, needs a hot pace to close into, and Queen's Parade, the 10, Johnny V for Sugar McGahee, closed at a mile and 3/8 in the R.G. Dick at Delaware. Kitten's Point, make a case for her and Danza Cavallo, the other Chad Brown. So there's a lot of ways you can go here in the nightcap, but I'm sticking with Goldie Esponi.
I ended up taking one of the other Chad Browns, Danza Cavallo. I thought she ran well in a grade 1 out west, and this is a layoff angle where Chad Brown hits at a 28% clip off this kind of short layoff. And I don't like the post position, but they are going a mile and a half, so maybe she can overcome it. And then I would use her with Goldie Esponi, with Eastern Bell, with Hellenistic, another Chad Brown, and with Cat's Claw, who's won before at Saratoga. But, it's I could be talked in probably to 3 or 4 different ones to use with Danza Cavallo. It's that kind of race. So I'm just going to hope Danza Cavallo gets a little bit of a decent price and can get home first in the Weah to wrap up the pick 4. At Del Mar, the 5th race is the Grade 2 Best Pal for 2-year-olds going 6.5 furlongs. Doug O'Neill's barn's been hot out there. He's got a couple in here, and I would figure one of those will take the most money. I'm going to try Annie's Candy. Probably the favorite will be Nyquist for O'Neill, and Annie's Candy was just barely beaten by Nyquist, came back to win at Los Al, but got a mediocre speed figure. But I'll just throw out the speed figure. The race was impressive, and it's kind of a short meet down there. I don't know about how the validity of all of those speed figures off of such a short meet and that track. So I'm going to take Annie's Candy. Hope to get a little value. I like the fact that he's well drawn outside the speed. Tyler Bay's rise, he's been red hot. So give me the 6, and I'll use him with the 5 Nyquist, the 4 Swipe, and the 1 Found Money. How about you?
Yeah, it was hard for me to separate Annie's Candy and Nyquist, and so I went somewhere else. I actually took a couple horses that ran against a horse named Cocked and Loaded at Belmont, and that's Payne's Prairie and Swipe. I'm leaning towards Swipe because of the consistency of connections. It's Desormo and Desormo, trainer and jockey respectively, and Payne's Prairie, although he's very impressive in the race at Belmont, the Tremont, ran second as a maiden and then came back and won his maiden special weight just easily last time out. But train was under Asmussen, now under Michael Pender. So shipping to the West Coast, Swipe has had a race on the West Coast at Los Al, and won that race, an $85,000 stakes race. So I'm going a little bit different direction. I couldn't separate the other two, so I went with Swipe over Payne's Prairie. I would also use Nyquist and Annie's Candy in trifectas.
And one other one we want to take a look at Del Mar, it's the Grade 2 John C. Maybe on the turf for 3-year-old and up fillies and mares. And I thought this was a pretty well-matched group in here, including Vicki Oliver from here in Central Kentucky. He's got Personal Diary, who won her only Grade 1 out there at Del Mar on the turf course last year. Who'd you go with?
Yeah, I have been guilty of skipping Vicki Oliver horses before, and it's cost me a little bit of money. But I didn't go with her this time. I went with Fantacola here. Just missed in the Grade 1 Gamely. I love Joe Talamo on the West Coast, and she's put together 3 really great races in a row. Won the Royal Heroine at Santa Anita last time out at a mile, and Talamo rides back. She's raced against Queen of the Sand and Bling Is My Thing and Stormy Lucy, so very familiar with the horse. If she gets a trip, I think she's got a really good shot at winning. Queen of the Sand would be my second choice, the 7 horse. I also use Emotional Kitten the 2 and Bling Is My Thing underneath. It's a nice betting race, but Fantacola seems to have, I mean, you're on 93, 94, 94 buyers consistently, and you get beat by a nose and neck and win by a neck. She's always right there on the line, and I think that she's due for a big race here in the John C. Maybe.
I'm going to take a little bit of a swing here with Stormy Lucy, number 4. I like the fact that this horse likes to win, 7 wins out of 27 starts. Second off the layoff, and I like the fact that they go to Bejarano, who really rides the courses at Del Mar very well, and I think it's intriguing that he takes the mount here for a second off the layoff type. So I'm going to take on that angle Stormy Lucy for some value, and I'm going to use her with Personal Diary, Queen of the Sand, Emotional Kitten, probably Fantacola as well. But taking a bit of a price here on the John C. Maybe for Stormy Lucy, number 4. One other race we want to look at is the Grade 3 Grade 3 Groupie Doll at Ellis Park. Used to be the Gardenia. Fillies and Mares 3 and up going a flat mile. And they got a really nice field, full field, a great betting race. How'd you see it shaking out?
Yeah, you're always happy when Ellis comes up with a full field. I mean, this is a nice race, and they renamed it the Groupie Doll, obviously, for Buck Bradley's great filly, and it's a nice tribute to. But it was formerly the Gardenia Stakes, and they got them oversubscribed. They've got 12 plus some also eligibles. I went with Willow Hills in here simply because it's only her 5th lifetime start. The 8-horse Willow Hills. She actually ran second to Fioretti, the 11, at Churchill in the Roxalana, but a little more upside with only 4 starts. And Ben Colebrook is a very underrated trainer. Robbie Alvarado's obviously great rider at Ellis Park, and I like Willow Hills over the 11 for a couple reasons. First of all, that more upside. Fioretti's had 20 lifetime starts, and she's stuck in the 11 hole, and she probably needs the lead to win or be right off the lead. So I'm going to take Willow Hills over Fioretti. The other horse that I like, just as a class standpoint, is Flashy American, the 12 for Kenny McPeak, and she stands out on class here, but the outside post going a mile at Ellis is not ideal, and I don't know if she'll be able to overcome that. So I'm going to stick with Willow Hills, use Fioretti and Flashy American underneath, with probably all in the third spot at trifecta, hoping to get a price.
Yeah, I took a long look at Flashy American and between the post and maybe thinking she's just a little past her best. If the price is nice on her, I might be reconsidering. But I ended up taking the 10 for Bill Mott, Park Monceau. This horse has kept pretty good company. It's the second off a layoff and the third start since moving into the Mott barn. And maybe looking at the angle that he's figured a little bit more out about this one. I'm going to use her with Willow Hills. Rathburn intrigues me a little bit, the 4, as does Pretty Fancy, the 2 for Rusty Arnold. Both of those should be pretty good prices. I think Park Monceau's like 6-1 in the morning line. So I think you got a good shot to get as decent exacta payoff if you can just figure out who's in the exacta is the challenge. But I think you're going to get a nice payoff if you're right here in the Groupie Doll. So best of luck with your wagers this weekend. Some great opportunities. And then next week we'll be talking about the Arlington Million card up in Chicago. And best of luck, and don't forget to keep your accounts fully funded at KeenelandSelect.com. Look for Katie Gensler and I doing the weekly video picks. And make sure if you're looking to head out Saturday and head out for simulcasting, remember it's at the Red Mile now in downtown Lexington, not at Keeneland. For Jim Goodman, I'm Tom Leach, and this is the In the Money Podcast.